я директор агентства «Глобус» в Ростове-на-Дону, который занимается образованием за рубежом. И сегодня я хотела бы представить наших партнеров, которые приехали в Ростов-на-Дону издалека. Значит, Антона вы, наверное, уже кто-то видел. Это представитель университетов, зарубежных университетов, индустрии, гостеприимства, Glion, это наши лучшие университеты, которые входят в топ-3 лучших университетов индустрии гостеприимства. И сегодня мы привезли к вам особенного гостя. Это Jon-Hans, Chief Academic Officer of Glion Institute of Higher Education. Please. Сейчас минуточку отключим. А скажите, какие классы у вас здесь?
8, 9,
11. Отлично, очень хорошо. Я думаю, что вам будет очень интересно. У нас уже это вторая встреча сегодня, и мы пришли после школы, тоже Алабрима. И вот я так смотрю, что там было прям оживленные у нас беседы и дискуссии.
Hello everyone, how are you today?
Fine.
I think we met recently, right?
Yes.
You remember? So I think you remember what we were talking about, right?
Yes.
What? Sorry?
Higher education.
Higher education, hospitality, great. And what is hospitality about?
It's a kind of business.
Okay, business. What business?
To deal with different people. It's very prestigious.
Okay, what else? What do you remember? No? Please be active. I just want to know that you remember all the things we discussed with you. And actually, I would like to hear anything else. No, nothing? So just a reminder for you, we're not going to talk about hospitality industry today. We're not going to discuss our campuses today. We will be talking more about what skills young people as you need in this fast-changing world. But just as a reminder for you, hospitality industry, because we represent universities in hospitality field, is the most diverse and most dynamic industry in the world. And the good thing about our education is not just theoretical parts, but also the skills that you can acquire there and how they can help you to move forward and to grow your careers, right? And today, I'm not going to speak long, because we have a special guest today, Dr. Jon-Hans Coetzer. It's our Chief Academic Officer in Glion Institute of Higher Education, and he will be speaking with you about future skills in this changing multinational world. Okay, please welcome Jon-Hans.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So, what am I going to be talking to you about? What do you think I'm going to be telling you? So, higher education? Yes, maybe. What else am I going to be telling you? I heard about hospitality being very prestigious. Maybe. What else? What else do you think I'm going to be talking to you about? Tell me. Prices. Prices of what? What do you think I'm going to be telling you about?
Multinational wealth.
I'm glad you can read, but what does that mean to you?
Our planet is different countries, nations, and I suppose that we will talk about it.
Why is that important to you?
For me, because because we are a part of this world. And we should understand everything about it. That's why it's interesting for me.
What is your name? Why what he's saying does it ring true? Why should we be concerned about this world, this interconnected world? Give me one idea.
One planet, that's why we have to work together, yes?
Yeah, because we are all part of society and that's why we must connect. Yeah.
If you look, thank you. If you look, it says our world, which means, do you think you're going to have the responsibility for managing that world in the future?
Yes.
A definite yes. Very nice. You are going to be the future leaders. You are going to be the future businessmen, businesswomen. You are going to be the scientists of tomorrow. You have the responsibility to make sure that not just that the world remains as it is, because there are lots of problems, but to make it even better. And how do you think you going to do it? How are you, if I can ask at the back, how are you going to make the world different, but better even?
I'll start from myself.
And what will you do?
Now I'm starting this code.
Okay? So a good education. Bravo. But what else? What else? So now at the end you have a diploma and you say, look, I have a diploma from the best university in the world.
New ideas.
Who said that? Your name is?
Senior.
Senior. Okay. The best ideas.
The new ideas.
New ideas. To do what? To make the world a better place? Yes. Who created electricity? Pump up the volume. Okay. But what makes him different from you? What does he have that you don't have? Or what do you have that he had?
He had an amazing imagination and it helped him to make such terrific invention of his time.
How many of you feel that you have the same amazing imagination? Do you have this amazing imagination? No. Why not? How are you going to contribute to the world then? If you say, I can't. No. Ask your friend to help you. Tell me. It is okay to say, I don't know, but am I going to accept it? Never. So I will come back to you and say, okay, so maybe for now you don't know, and everybody else is going to go past you. And then you're going to say, wow, look at how successful everybody is, and I still have to find out what it is that I want to do. But right now, as you said, it is dobro to say, I don't know. But what I would like you to start to think is, you become very often limited, you limit yourself by your own ability to say, more work, I am tired, I can't do more of this. And you limit your own capacity, your own ability to reach your own dreams. You yourself stop it because you don't believe in yourself. And yet, we live in a world where there are amazing opportunities. Amazing. Give me a few examples of inventions of our modern day, of this century, that has changed the way that we communicate with one another, as an example. iPhone. Apple. No commercial blips. But the way, how many of us have an iPhone? Hands up. Are they switched off? Are they switched off? Very good. Okay, so, and who of you have a blueberry? Anton? Where's he? My colleague has a blueberry. How many of us have blueberries? When we were young, did we have telephones to communicate? No. How did we communicate?
Sometimes with telephone, well, but not with the help of mobiles. Or back together and what is and so on suppose?
Or we sent faxes?
No.
No?
We didn't have such
There was
things in our
Tikuravska,
Ladies and gentlemen, we still, when we traveled, we used to send postcards back to our parents or to our boyfriends or girlfriends. Today, we send SMSs. So we have companies today that exist in a virtual reality. You don't need businesses today anymore that's made of wall and where you have tables and chairs. No. You have businesses that exist virtually. They never touch. They don't have employees like you sit in front of me today. I take the example of Yelena, myself, and Anton. Yelena she works in Rostov. I was born in South Africa. I grew up in South Africa, but now I work in Switzerland, where I'm the chief monkey monk of Glion, and I work with Anton, who is based in Moscow. And we communicate through internet. And look, here we are, we work together. For a small period of time, 2-3 days, we work together and we achieve very specific results. One of those results is for me to come and speak to you, which for me is a great honor. Thank you. But more than that, I'm not going to come here and try to sell you our schools. What I'm trying to do is to create an experience of how, when you would go to any one of these institutions, what is the learning environment like? What is the type of learning that I'm going to do? What are the professors like? And then it is very much what I try to illustrate here for you today. But more importantly, I want to know, and hopefully by the end of our session, you would have a little bit of a better understanding of what are these key skills that you need to succeed in our world. And that has got all to do with cross-cultural skills. You all recognize a lot of these companies. 90% of these companies are present in Russia, somehow or another. There was a father and son, a duo, two people. So the father is Philip Kotner, He is considered to be one of the top writers, academic, when it comes to writing marketing theory. And his son has joined them, and they say, if you want to win in the global markets today, you need to understand how you are going to work in the world's global cities. Now, Moscow is a perfect example of a global city. If I can ask at the back, what would you say is the total population of Moscow today? The official total. How many thousand? Or how many million? 8 million, 15 million. It's more likely to be 15 million around, right? Non-official? We most probably closer to 20 million. That's huge. Because what we see more and more across the globe, more and more people are moving from the countryside to the cities. Because they feel they have more working opportunities based on the demand for employment in the bigger cities rather than in the countryside. So this is where the two Kotlers, father and son, are saying we really need to make sure that we get people to understand the dynamics of working in big cities. Now there are three components of what I would call the key pillars of a cross-cultural understanding. One is to understand people. How do people behave? How can you insult people? How can you motivate people? What are the emotions that drive people? What are the emotions that would offend people? Look how I used humor to try to get you to laugh a little bit and hopefully not to be scared of me. Because I come from Switzerland, and what do we know about Switzerland besides cheese, expensive watches and cowbells that go ding ding ding? But I'm not Swiss. But I am very much a human being that loves his fellow human being, but also my passion is education. So how do I take my fundamental responsibility to share with you my passion for education? My education that I firmly believe should engage the future generation. Because my generation, ladies and gentlemen, we got so many things wrong. Totally wrong. We took wars to countries. Now, the Syrian refugee crisis, now that the victims of war are saying, we don't want to stay anymore in our country because we don't feel safe. So we're going to go where we think we can be safe. And what do? We close our borders and we say, oh no, you're not welcome here anymore. But yet we took war to their country. We've destroyed their homes. We continue to do so. Because we fight a regime, but then where comes the moral responsibility? How do you take millions of people and say, but no, we're not fighting you, we're fighting your government? No. We need to start thinking of all these complex issues in this world, and this is what I'm trying to explain to you here. It's also about we need to learn from one another. When I was young and somebody told me, on the 16th of March, you're going to be standing speaking to people in Rostov, and I would have said, you must be crazy. Russia is a country I don't know. It was the time of the so-called Cold War, the Iron Curtain. We didn't know one another exist because we were enemies. Look how far we've come. Here we stand today and we laugh about the same things. We share so much the same passions. And some of my best students are from Russia. Some of the world's best scientists are Russian. some of the best literary work, Tolstoy, Pushkin, the list goes on, in the classical performing arts, from drama to opera to ballet. Your influence is enormous, and you have the responsibility to take that even further. And all of that deals also with an issue of behavior. But we can get it wrong. And let me just take this simple example to show you. All of you know what this is, right? In Russia, it means, I don't think your idea was good. Your idea was, it was 0. But if I say this to somebody in Brazil, it's as good as if I tell them I insult them and I say, In Japan, I would say, you want me to come to your school? We need to negotiate because you need to pay me. It's about money. In the United Kingdom and the land of Obama, it's okay. Hey, are you going to invite me? I'm going to see the students. Super. I'm really happy. So do you see how the same sign has fundamental meanings? Now, to be able to operate effectively as a scientist, as a mother, as a father, as a teacher, as whatever profession you can think of, you need to be able to have a certain knowledge, a certain number of skills, and certain abilities. This is all about people management. Now, in what we learn today at universities, now I need to ask your professors to excuse me because what I'm going to say may shock them. But a lot what we teach today is outdated. When it comes to business theories, specifically in commerce and industry, business sciences, we teach essentially Anglo-Saxon, North American inspired. Kotler is North American. And we are teaching these policies, these principles, these paradigms. Who can help me? What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a specific thought, a scientifically proven thought. This is what we're teaching. We say, this is my view of the world. Now, it's for you to say, okay, I will inspire myself from that, but I'm going to test it. I'm not going to use it as a fait accompli. I'm not going to use it as my final master plan. And this is where I say what we teach today is outdated. We had the financial crisis. So many countries are still struggling to come through the financial crisis. This financial crisis hit hard across families, across social and cultural boundaries, and for a lot of countries, for a lot of people, they're still struggling to come out of that. So there needs to be a lot more reprogramming of how we educate, how we teach you, the leaders, the decision makers, the champions of tomorrow. Just look in this little graphic. Look at how many skills we are talking about. And do you think you learn this in 1 week, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years? Each one of us. So you have an education, right? That's what you're working on. But all of us have an individual vision based on a future that we see. But we also need a good doses of talent in our specific area. Because in the 21st century, there are certainly a different number of skill sets that you absolutely must have to succeed. Now, I just like to show you very briefly, you need to be able to collaborate across national boundaries, across language barriers, different communication technologies that you need to master, critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and invention, global awareness, information and technology literacy, and very much you don't meet your professor standing behind and say, have you done your work? Don't talk in class. That you can manage yourself, that you're very much self-directed, because the future remains about people management. You're going to be managed by somebody, you will in turn manage somebody. And that exchange, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do is to show you one study that was done by the University of Phoenix. And what they tell us here is they say, so by the time you are going to be professionally making your mark in the world of work, business, sciences, it's most probably going to be the year 2020. Yes? How old are you now?
16.
Okay. And we are in the year 2060. So you see, this is just around the corner. So many of you would most probably still be involved in university study. But let me show you what their research, what they've done. They contacted 1,500 companies across the globe, and they said, can you tell us what you see to be the disruptive? Disruptive means not positive. What's going to change? What is it that will continue to drive the changes that we are going through? And these are these big circles that you see. But let me show you more specifically. If we look at the first one, let's go like the clock would go, right? So let's look at the first one. Due to medical technologies, scientific breakthrough, we are getting older, but we stay active longer. So one of the negative effects of that is, of course, people stay in their jobs longer. They don't necessarily retire anymore as before, so they occupy posts that normally should have been made vacant for the younger generation. People stay in this. And what is the direct result of that? In Spain, unemployment of the youth between the age of 18 to 30 is 30%. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Unemployment of an economy such as Spain, where they have the youth unemployment at 30%. In France, the unemployment, any guesses? What do you think is the percentage in France? I'll give you a clue. It's less than that of Spain. But who's going to give me a guesstimate? Bravo. Spot on. 20%. The rise of smart machines. Look how we communicate today. We exist in a virtual, all your best friends exist virtually. You communicate with them virtually. But more so than that, how we process data, how we are engaging is robots, high technology are also replacing what the human used to do before. Some people, I'm more skeptical about it, pushes and says, we're going to be controlled by computers. Now, I just want to illustrate to you why I disagree. Tell me what my face shows you. What did I show you? Sadness. What do I show you now? What did I show you now? Independence, a little bit of arrogance. What do I show you now?
Happiness.
Can a computer digest that? Not yet. Not yet. I was, last week I was in Davos at a international communication forum, and there were about 150 delegates from different countries. And there was an American delegate who was saying, no, we're definitely moving towards the century where the reality is that the artificial intelligence will manage us and will manage and order us around. And I said, I fundamentally disagree with you, because computers do not have the ability to interpret emotions. And if there is one thing that sets us apart from computers, you can train a computer, you can program a computer to give them the same tasks that a human can do. But you cannot yet train the computer to interpret emotions. Now, you are Russian, I am South African, but look, we perfectly, from the day that we are born, or even when our mothers used to carry us in their bellies, we are taught what is emotion. It's something that comes so naturally. Computers, it's going to take generations, my belief, that they're going to be able to interpret emotions, because you can get emotions so wrong. And if somebody is happy and all of a sudden you're going to be dealing with them in a sad voice, communication will just go belly up. We are moving more and more to a world where everything is done through computers. The world is organized in these superstructures, either through business or through politics, where you have regional organizations that deal with certain issues. A new media landscape. It's rare that we can talk today about independent media. You have so many different means of getting the information that you want. You don't necessarily, when we were, shall I say, when we were more young, we're still young, but when we were more young, we used to see the newspaper or the television. But now, how many of you buy the newspaper? So how do you get your news? Where do you get your news from?
From internet.
Bravo. That's exactly it. And I'm going to mention one name. How many of you know my best friend, Kim Kardashian? Right. She's Russian. Where does she live? Armenia? Her origins is Armenian. But she lives where? Exactly. She lives in the United States of America. And who is she married to? Aha! The second best friend. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, fact of life, what I'm trying to say. Sadly, Kim Kardashian is not the ideal song to mention. But still, how you are able to find information, and what is it that you connect with that inspires you more so than what any of us would have predicted. I tell you, last year I was in Liberia in Africa, and I was training ministers in transitional justice. These are legal systems that you need to put in place to look at all the evils that was caused during the war they had in Liberia. So I was there on behalf of the United Nations, and I started talking to these ladies. They were all, as I say, at the level of ministers, and I could see when I started talking how they all sat back and they went, and I knew I was just not going to do anything. And at one stage I said, could you rather tell me what happened to you? And we started talking about Kim Kardashian. They all knew who Kim Kardashian was. So many of them don't even have a television. But they go to their neighbors, and these are not people who necessarily live in apartments like you do. They most probably have a very basic accommodation where they still have a battery to connect up to, but they all knew who Kim Kardashian was. So why I referred to, because if I did not know Kim Kardashian, I would not have been able to communicate with these ministers. Now, what is important? So you've seen these 7 drivers that will continue to change the world in which we live in, and these are the key skills that you need. So over and above what I've tried to explain to you in the cross-cultural dimension, there is more and more. Do you have the ability to make sense out of abstract data? So, I will take it one step further. The question today is not, do you have the answer? And again, in traditional universities, we give you lots of questions. But we give you questions that demand from you an answer. What we really need to do is train you how to ask the right questions. By asking the right questions, you may come up with a subset of questions that's going to give you information that you need, rather than trying to come up with the textbook answer, because the textbook is most probably already outdated, not relevant to the modern world and the modern economic practice. We need to think in a different way of coming up to solutions. Gone are the days where I could say, oh, but as a former diplomat of the United Nations, peacemaking, gone, doesn't work. So many say the United Nations was applicable to the world immediately after the Second World War. But there are so many countries now that have been formed that should have a bigger voice in the United Nations, not just the voice of the Security Council. So much of what we do today is transdisciplinary. You constantly need different skills, different knowledges, that it's not just a biological or engineering question. It all crosses over. And the more we know a lot about different subjects, the better it's going to serve us. To have social intelligence, how can you make people laugh? How can you make people... You almost have to be an actor, but an actor with a real heart. Because if you are fake, people will see straight through you and will not trust you. But look at a diplomat, look at a minister, look at your president. We say he walks his talk. He does what he say he's doing. And therefore you look at him and you say, he is my leader, I trust in him. And this is the responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, that you will have to take on. And that's why this social intelligence is so crucial. New media literacy. I tell you, in 10 years, we're going to communicate totally differently. Maybe we're going to have a pair of glasses that's going to pick up the way that we think and it will automatically send. We're not going to have, and look, you see, I wasn't lying, you see? So Anton, I don't know how he's going to communicate because already Apple, Samsung, the tactile form of communication, but even that may be outdated in 5 years' time. Computational thinking, algorithms. So much of what we do today has to do with algorithms. And how are we going to take that one step further? You have cognitive load management. What is meant by cognitive? Intellectual ability. How do you think intellectually about the way that you manage? And the last but not least is the school that we visited before. I asked, because it was a much smaller group, so I asked individual, and I would say 60% of them said they would like to do something in design or engineering. So you see, it has all to do with the design mindset. There it is, the cross-cultural mindset. And virtual collaboration. This is just a summary of those 10 key skills. And this is really where I would like to end. And to say again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your collaboration, those that were brave enough to give me some of their views. Just a reminder, so I represent Glion. We are based in Switzerland. We have 2 campuses in Glion and Bulle, and we also have a campus in London. This is just a very brief overview, a picture of this is the campus, and these are the different restaurants that you have. This is the campus in Bulle, and this is the campus in London. I love telling the story. How many of you remember who was Henry VIII of England? How many wives did he have?
18.
18? 6? How many of them got... Two. He decided, no, he wants a different wife, so this one, go chop her head off. And this place where we are based is not where they chopped the heads off, but it was Henry VIII's hunting area. So this was one of the modest hunting lodges of the king. And this is where our London campus is. Now, the model that we base our education on is called transformational education. I want you not to look at this for the moment, but these are the key areas that we cover. So we start with professional development. How do we work with the skills that you have already, and how do we take that further? Then we do the applied learning, because of course when you deal with people, you must be able to do things and to show and lead by example. Then we don't call it business management, what we call it entrepreneurship, because we believe that the more people have the business know-how, they have the choice to either go on their own or to work for a big group. And then there's the general education, which is the general business type subject. But this is the one that I wanted to end with. It's very much student-centered education, where we look at all these different elements in your total experience. And that experience, if it's a bachelor degree, is 3.5 years. And if it's a master or a Master of Business Administration, it's 1 year. And on that note, I'd be very happy to take any questions you may have.
How do you like it? The speech of our guest?
It's amazing.
Any questions?
So then you have some questions for me. Or general comments. Do you disagree on something I said? Do you agree what I said?
Yes.
Okay, what did you agree on then? Yes, sir.
Do you like that?
I like Russia a lot. I like Russia for 3 things. I think the amazing history and culture that you still continue to bring to the rest of the world in the classic arts, in contemporary art, and I also think in modern politics. I think in that sense, Russia should be given more credit for what it is currently receiving. As I mentioned, some of my best students come from Russia. You have such a natural ability to engage in rhetoric, which I think is such a key skill in today's world.
You say that we should study for 2 years to receive a bachelor's. It's so in Russia we should spend about 4 or 5 years.
3 years and a half.
3 years and a half, yes.
Same. Same. The choice again is entirely yours. You know what your ambitions are, you know what you want to do, and we simply stand in front of you to say, look at these different opportunities, look at these issues that's changing the world in which you live in, and that you can make the right decisions for your future. That's it. Yeah? Thank you.
My opinion that I visited these schools, yes, this institute in Switzerland and in Spain, and my opinion, yes, is that this study is very effectively because it's based on the learning and based on the experience. Because we have some internships during your study, 2 internships for half a year. You have 1 year real experience when you graduate this institute. And in our study of Russia, we have more theoretical base and based on theoretical classes. It's the difference. But the students which I have met in these universities, they are brilliant because they can persuade everybody and to present the industry. I think so. Any other expressions or maybe opinions?
Critical questions. Ask them.
So then allow me to say a big спасибо to all of you. Thank you for receiving.
Спасибо вам. Можем мы сделать... Да, может быть, вы встанете все, только вам это поближе. Да, может, нет, передний сядьте, пожалуйста. Встаньте, ребята, встаньте, да, может быть, поближе. Заднее видно, может быть, стало задним. Сидит. Спасибо, ребята, вам. Скажите, вообще, вот сейчас, когда уже как бы мы закончили, понравилось вам? Очень понравилось.